Okay, guys, hello. Welcome again to the Black Kids White Coach channel. My name is Adama. I'm a third-year medical student in Southern California. Today's video is going to be mostly for our second years. So I have a special guest today. It's my brother, who's also a third year in a school in Southern California at a different school. He did really well on STEP, and he wanted to give you guys a couple tips so that you could do really well too. So without further ado, I'm going to bring him on, let him introduce himself, and then he'll take the video away.
Hey guys, my name is IK. Like my sister said, I'm a medical school student here in Southern California doing a video for Black Kids White Coats. So when approaching STEP, I took kind of 6 steps that kind of guided me through what people call the battle of second year. So the first thing was Prepend Yo Sources. So for me, it was like the UFAT method that people used to go with UWorld, First Aid, and Pathoma, just because for me, I kind of checked out the sources maybe a month before I started studying, and those sources worked for me. I liked them. You know, I had friends who used Kaplan. I had friends who used Golion instead of Pathoma. I had friends who used school notes. I had, so different people, different ways, but just choose your sources. And once you choose your sources, no matter what, you have to stick to them. There's no switching in the middle. That's just not smart. The second thing I would say is coming up with a schedule. So for me, I started, it's the way my school works is that pretty much people start studying at the second half of the year, and then we get pretty much a month off for summer and taking steps. So I took about 2 weeks after getting out, 2.5 weeks after getting out of school in order to take step. And so you have to look at the way your school does stuff, because some schools give you 2-3 months, some schools give you a month like mine, and some schools, you take a third year, so adjust to how your school works. But what I did is I actually used this program called Cram Fighters, which allowed me to actually enter in the amount of UWorld questions I wanted to do. It allowed me to enter in first aid with the actual sections I wanted to do. It already had all the pages for all the first aid. It allowed me to enter Pathoma, the videos. And so the program actually has all these high yield sources already programmed into it. And you can actually say, like, today I want to do kidney. Or today I want to spend, every day I want to spend 2 hours on videos, 1 hour on questions, and 1 hour on first aid. And I want to have like a break day every week on Thursday, and it'll make your schedule for you all the way until test day. Or, if you want to finish a little early so you can redo everything, you can set it to even like, halfway through, and it'll tell you that you need to read this amount of pages, watch this amount of hours of videos, and do this amount of questions per day. And like, let's say it's test week, your in-house school test week, so you miss a couple of step 1 study days. All you have to do is just click readjust, and it'll actually reformulate your schedule for you to where you're kind of doing more as you go on, to kind of catch up. The third thing I would say is kind of the balance between school and step 1. A lot of the times people are like, oh my gosh, like my school is killing me with stuff. I'm not able to study for step, blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, you have to know your school. When you're studying for school, you are studying for step. That's kind of like the method I kind of thought about. So I kind of gave it a 50-50. And then towards the end, I started tailoring it more towards step. But if you're studying for microbiome for class, you're studying for microbiome for step. Don't feel that because you're studying exclusively for class, you're not studying for step. So that's one thing that'll help you ease your mind. And also, don't look at other people and say like, wow, they're using this source, or wow, they're spending 70% of their time on step and 30% of their time on school stuff. Like, you have to pay attention to what you're doing, focus on what you're doing, because you've already chosen your path. You have to kind of stick with it, and that'll help you do the best that you can. 4 was practice exams. So I maybe took like 4 or 5. That includes the CBSE that my school gives me later in the year, actually closer to step. And you actually have to get a certain score in order to be even able to take step. I know some schools do it actually in the, towards the beginning of second year, or like halfway through second year. My school actually did it like towards the end. So I took about like 5, and my score was going up progressively just because I was studying more. But it's really, I think MBME exams are perfect in order for you because a lot of people can know the content, and I found that I knew the content, but if I can't, and I can answer your questions because you get used to your questions, but if you can't answer MBME questions, there's a certain style, then it's just not going to work. So doing MBME questions, one, gets you comfortable with answering questions. Two, lets you know your weak points. So you got to focus on, if your pathology is low, focus on pathology. If your social sciences is low, focus on social sciences. So you have to be honest with yourself. Not saying like, oh, path was low, but I got path. Like, let me just focus on something else. Like, because you can make the biggest adjustment to your step score just by focusing on your lowest points. That's what it comes down to. For me, I know that pathology, like for example, I was doing really well in pathology in school, but I felt like my pathology at my school was not on the weaker side, but on the easier side. So it was easy to be lazy, right? So I found that towards step time, like I was gearing everything towards pathology just because I needed to do well in it. And I kind of saw the bar on the MBME thing shift, which was comforting. And then later I was able to see what else was kind of lacking, and I was able to kind of pull that up. So MBMEs are really important if you have to take one because you just got like that, or you have to take 7 because you just need to see more, you want to see more. Do what you need to do. It's personalized. Don't look at somebody else and say, wow, this person's doing this. Because I looked at plenty of people who were doing other stuff, and I was like, man, like I should have done what they did. And unfortunately, some of them didn't pass or didn't do as well. So I think that just focusing on what you're doing is going to be the most important thing. 5, I hope this is 5. I think it's 5. 5 would be a week before step. So for me, I was like, kind of in gear. I was looking at the breakdown of all the CBSEs and kind of focusing on my weakest points. Because if you know cardio all the way, like you're the 98th percentile, there's, improving, studying it for a couple of hours, you might move to like the 91 or the 92 percentile. That's going to get you 3 points on step. But if you're looking at like social sciences or something in pathology, like something specific where you're like in the 30th percentile, pushing that up to the 60th percentile, 70th percentile, by studying 2-3 hours because you didn't know the information at all, now you know it, that could pull you up like, anywhere from 10 to 20 points, or 5 to 20 points. So always attack your weak points, be real with yourself. So that's what I was doing in the last week. And if you feel like you're pretty well rounded, but you're just looking to just do better overall, majority of step is pathology. So I would focus on that. But I find that just kind of looking at my MBME breakdown and kind of focusing on specific things that I was lacking in really helped me out a lot. And just to kind of give you a range, like from my first step score to my last one, I probably raised about 80 points. So I took it in December. I hadn't really, halfway through second year, didn't know antibiotics. There was a bunch of stuff we didn't know. It was kind of a tactic to scare us. You take it, you scare yourself, and then you get to studying. So I probably went much home from 80. So I started at a not that good of a score. Then, in February I rose like 20 points, and then by March maybe 30 points from my original score. Then in May, maybe 50, and then a week before the test, 60, and then test day I actually jumped like anywhere from 15 to 20 points. So it's it's a challenge, but as long as you're kind of prepared and kind of keeping focused, I think you'll do well. The last thing I would want to talk about is before test day. I think this is like super, super, super important. So one, you got to get what you're gonna eat and the snacks. You got to get your game plan. You got to be ready. So one, earplugs is a must. I had somebody coughing through my whole exam. People in these exams aren't taking aren't all taking step 1. Majority of people are taking MCAT, GRE, all these other exams, and so this girl was coughing through the whole exam, guys. Like coughing, no cough drops, nothing to suppress the cough, just straight coughing. It was terrible. So earplugs is a must. For step, you can look at your notes and stuff in between the tests. I wouldn't recommend that. Like what I did is I called people. Like I called my sister, called my friends. I FaceTimed, try and keep motivated. And, people knew I was taking step. If you have to run around a little bit, do some jumping jacks, something to get yourself going. Actually, this is day of the test. So we'll hit that and then we'll go back to day before the test. But, and then the snacks that you're going to eat in between, whether that's lunch, you never want to eat anything too heavy. So it was like just a lot of snacking. If you're a caffeine person, then, you know, have a little bit of caffeine on the side. Aspirin or Tylenol if you're prone to getting headaches during long exams. And then also a big thing that I learned is if you're doing UWorld, it's exactly like STEP. And what you want to do is like maybe halfway through the test or after 3 blocks, you want to change from white background to black background because it's softer on the eyes and you can actually switch back and forth, and that helps you kind of prolong your test taking and it helps you be more comfortable. Now I know it's kind of out of order, but the day before exams, people say, oh, you shouldn't study. I wouldn't recommend it either. I would recommend that it's a day of rest. But what I did is I woke up at 8, maybe reviewed kind of like the list in first aid, the different lists that were just like in the back that are super high yield, but like you never look at to the end. I did that for 2 hours, just went through that whole thing, right? And then the next hour I spent actually doing the tutorial online for step 1, because you can actually do the tutorial the day before. That way you can skip the tutorial the day of and you get 15 extra minutes added to your break. But yeah, and then, you know, like I said, now it's test day. Just be confident, be calm. You prepped, you know what you know. The answers are always in the vignette. Process of elimination. When in doubt, always choose the highest yield answer because, you know, that's just what they're looking for. If a question is simple, it's simple. Don't overthink it. You know, these are things that you'll all learn as you continue to do practice questions. So practice questions are going to push you to the elite level of a good test taker. Trying to think if I'm missing anything. Yeah, but just the day of be calm and confident. Even if you're sweating, be calm and confident. Try and stay engaged. Run around, do jumping jacks if you need to. Make sure you're calling people and, you know, earplugs. Those are kind of like my go-to advice. So, I mean, if you guys have any other specific questions or there's anything else you wanted to know, or, you know, this video is supposed to be all-encompassing, but it's kind of just an outline. If there's anything specifically you want to ask me, like, oh, like, how did you do your word in first aid? What was the combination? Stuff like that. You can just reach out to my sister on Black Kids White Coats. She'll get the question to me. I'll either reply by, you know, messaging, or I'll even do another video of people, you know, a lot of people ask me specific questions. Alright guys, again, my name is IK, and this is for Black Kids White Coats. I enjoy talking to you guys. Good luck, guys. Thank you.